Thus, Scott was able to bond out of jail on April 9th with the help of a group called the BAIL Project. Its website says we pay bail for people in need, reuniting families and restoring the presumption of innocence. The court documents say that after being released on April 9th, defendant, who is Scott, approached the victim and repeatedly struck her in the head.
And this is these activists, and I debated one other day at Blexit, these activists that are incessant about believing that every single person that's incarcerated is somehow an innocent person that got caught up in the system is a lie from the pit of hell. All right, y'all, I got to tell y'all about this new docuseries called The Religion Business. This is the docuseries I've been waiting on, exposing the lies that people are pushing in the church when it comes to finances. It's okay if you decide that you're going to do what God has called you to do. If you have told your audience or your church members that this is what your tithe and offering is going to, I think it's totally fine. But if you are lying to people to get you a Rolls Royce and mansions and using financial gain from your people to become rich and famous, it's a problem. And I think people need to expose it. That's why you need to see this docuseries. You do not want to miss it. All you got to do is hit the link in the description section and get 10% off. You need to see the truth, and you'll see it through Religion Business. All right, let's talk about this nonprofit that paid bail for a person to end up murdering his wife. Now, let me tell you how stupid these people are. This is when weaponized empathy and stupid white people go bad. When I say stupid white people, I mean these stupid leftist nut jobs that want to virtue signal every chance that they get, and they do nothing but hurt people. These dumb idiots who, if they would take a step back and evaluate why a person is incarcerated, instead of thinking the whole system is bad and every person in jail shouldn't be in jail, they would know that maybe, just maybe, we need to look into the violent tendencies and maybe some of the police reports and this dude's background before we try to bail him out of prison when that man should have been in prison sitting there so he can't kill nobody. We'll get to this one in a minute, but y'all hold on. I got to give y'all a couple facts about this organization and how many other people they've let out. So the guy you finna watch, they bailed him out. He murdered his wife. Here's a few other situations where the BAIL Project did, where they released somebody and they killed somebody. Christopher Stewart tried to burn his ex-wife alive after they bailed him out. Travis Lane bailed out, later murdered a man. Marcus Garvin, released after stabbing, later killed and dismembered his girlfriend. Rashawn Gatson Anderson shot waiter 11 times days after being released. And this is these activists, and I debated one other day at Blexit, these activists that are incessant about believing that every single person that's incarcerated is somehow an innocent person that got caught up in the system is a lie from the pit of hell. Some people that are in prison are devils. And I don't know how they ain't never gonna be fixed unless God fix them. They're devils, they're evil, and prison was the best thing to happen to them and the people who are potentially their victims. Every single person that I've ever arrested did something they weren't supposed to do. Ain't not one arrest where I'm like, man, maybe this shouldn't be against the law. No, people that ain't doing much, they ain't going to jail like that. They get a little ticket, promise to appear in court, that's it. People that you see doing time in prison, they're doing crazy things, or they are habitual crime committers. They are going back to back committing crimes year after year. I had a young boy I call him my stepbrother. His dad and my mama never got married, but they were in a relationship for a long period of time. I knew him. We knew each other for years. This boy is doing probably 25 plus years in prison right now. Why? He my age. Why? It's because the criminal justice system is broken? No, it's not. It's because he robbed somebody and got 5 years. He got out and the judge told him, if you do it again, I'm going to throw the book at you. I'm going to give you 20 years you ever do this again. He got out, robbed his own daddy and somebody else, robbed them. The judge said 25 years. He didn't get 25 years because he was just a black man in the wrong place. He robbed somebody at gunpoint. Okay. Twice. After serving time in prison, he got out and did it. You know, I got family members in prison that allegedly shot a couple people in an argument, in a dispute. 70 plus years in prison, but got him run concurrent. He got to do 35 years in prison. It wasn't because he just didn't do nothing. He was just sitting around on his couch and he just happened to wake up black one day. A lot of people that are in prison are in prison with serious accusations of doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing. Now, let's play the clip of this guy, this story that I was supposed to talk about, but I just had to bring it up, man. This project is a bunch of woke white leftists that want to play Captain Saver, and they're getting people killed. And I would argue that if they had probably more funding, they'd get more people killed. Roll the clip.
Shirley and Sandy, family members of the victim in this case are still trying to comprehend what's happened. They can't believe their loved one is gone, allegedly murdered in her own home.
She was loving, kind-hearted. She loved her kids. They were her heart.
She is talking about 54-year-old Marcia Johnson. She does not want to be identified, but is one of Marcia's family members.
I can't wrap my head around it. It's shocking.
St. Louis police say Marcia was found with a severe head injury on the night of April 9th. She was discovered inside a South City apartment on Wisconsin that she shared with her husband, 54-year-old Samuel Lee Scott. Marcia was rushed to the hospital, but police say she died 5 days later from her injuries. We're told another family member found Marcia.
They went to her house, knocked on the door, no answer, called, no answer. Went in the house, seen a puddle of blood, looked behind the door, and she was just slumped over, unresponsive. She had brain damage. She suffered broken bones, ribs, multiple bones in her face.
Investigators won't release details about a suspect except to say that he is a 54-year-old African-American man. They tell us Marcia was unable to provide information because of her condition. However, court documents reveal that Scott was arrested and charged on April 5th with misdemeanor domestic assault for allegedly hitting Marcia on the right side of her face with his fist back in January. The documents say Scott admitted having struck her. The court documents also reveal that Scott was able to bond out of jail on April 9th with the help of a group called the BAILS Project. That is a national group with an office in downtown St. Louis. Its website says we pay bail for people in need, reuniting families and restoring the presumption of innocence. Scott's bail was $5,000 cash only. The court documents say that after being released on April 9th, defendant, who was Scott, approached the victim of the domestic assault fourth charge, who was Marcia, and repeatedly struck her in the head. The documents reveal that Scott's bond was revoked and that he is now under arrest and being investigated for domestic assault first degree. The motion to revoke Scott's bond, which was filed prior to Marcia's death, says that the April 9th attack left Marcia with life-threatening injuries. The family member we spoke with wants justice for Marcia.
That he faces life, that he suffers for the rest of his life.
Those documents reveal that prosecutors now want no bond for Scott. We did reach out to the BAILS Project for a comment, but have not yet heard back. At this point, authorities have not issued charges in Marcia's killing.
This was an incredibly stupid thing that they did. And this is a continuation of these leftist lunatics weaponizing empathy and getting people killed. All right, we go to the next story, and this is what you had put up there, Nick, about this exposure of paid demonstrators, a $20 million contract that was turned down. Roll the clip.
The organizers of the July 17th demonstrations approached you?
Interests aligned with the organizers of the July 17th movement have approached us. And in fact, we rejected an offer that probably is worth around $20 million.
$20 million?
Correct. I mean, this is a nationwide thing, right? It's not to say I would have made $20 million personally, but the value of the contract would have been worth around that amount nationwide to organize huge demonstrations around the country. But personally, I just don't think it's effective. So it's not I'm not trying to call myself virtuous for rejecting it. What I'm saying is I'm rejecting it not because I don't want to take the business, but because frankly, this is going to be ineffective. It's going to make us all look bad.
So I asked Swart who exactly offered him the $20 million. That, of course, was the natural question, but he says he would not say, says he does not talk about who exactly his clients are, that it would be bad for business, and he's been in business for 15 years, and he has to turn down a lot of contracts. But, you know, interesting, $20 million is it's a lot of money.
Oh, Brian, quickly, before I let you go, did he explain about why he doesn't want to be involved with Thursday's protests?
Well, he said he had some concern about violence based on what he's seen in the past, but mostly he just doesn't think that it's productive or really making a difference, big picture, about how the country feels about President Trump. And he says he just didn't want to get involved.
And this is a pretty prominent example of manufactured outrage and activism. $20 million it'll cost people to get up and protest around the country. And you know why? Because people are not genuinely outraged by this stuff. They're creating outrage. They're creating this momentum to make, you know, people think that this is a bigger problem. It's the same thing they did in the civil rights movement. The more I read about the civil rights movement, the more I'm dejected about what they had done to our country. It actually makes me upset about it. Because everybody thinks that black people were getting bit by dogs in this fight for activism. And a lot of these cases were just like the ones we see today. They're staging outrage. They would go to places that had racial tension, which is not where all these people live. This is not where people that live in an area are experiencing. They come and conjure up racial tension in places where, and I'm gonna give you it was places in the South where there was a white-owned diner. Black people had their own diner. White only, black had their own stuff. Black people ain't coming across the tracks to go to white people's stuff. White people ain't coming across the tracks to go to their stuff, and ain't nobody got no problem. Everybody living separate and they having their own good time. Black people are developing and growing and prospering, and white people are doing the same on their side of town. And there's a lot of mixing that happened mutually and voluntarily without government intervention. But what happens is they go and get activists and they bring them in these cities and make them sit in a diner with the white people. When the local people that live there don't have a problem like this. It's not an everyday experience that black people trying to eat and just survive, and white people jumping on them and beating on them and kicking them out of diners. What was happening is that they had laws, and I get to a certain degree what they were trying to do, but manufacturing outrage is a problematic thing. You had Rosa Parks sitting on the bus. She didn't genuinely ride the bus and have that experience. What she did, she had a car, but they wanted to stage activism. So they hired her or had her go and sit on the bus to create the outrage that they needed to push a particular legislation and force the government to get involved in local issues. They wanted a nationwide activism legislation when they should have been allowing the states to deal with it state by state. And what did they do? They got people on government assistance and handouts and Marxist theology that destroyed the black community. If black people were genuinely experiencing this and it got exposed, that's a different thing than activists who are a fake reverend. And I say a fake reverend because he didn't even preach most of the time. Martin Luther King is putting together a movement to create what he wants the government to do on behalf of black people and not to help them, to be honest. And I'm still struggling with wondering, was he a willful idiot being tricked by others, or was he actually a person who genuinely knew what he was doing and he knew he was doing wrong? Because you cannot show me a trajectory for African-American people that improved after the 60s. I'm talking about an overall trajectory of black people. The trajectory of black people in the 30s and 40s and 50s were outpacing white people in America. They were married, families, wealth development, banks, businesses. I mean, you name it, black people had it moving and shaking. And then all of a sudden you go to the day, now we see gang violence. Now we see education system is terrible. Black kids are, obesity crisis in the black community, fatherless homes crisis in the black community, education crisis in many of these black communities, murder rate, violence, you name it, is plaguing the Black community. We didn't see these type of things before Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement. And Malcolm X, they like to forget who he is, who said, who's the most dangerous is the white liberal. That's what Malcolm X said. I think Malcolm X had the plan that could possibly help the Black community more so than Martin Luther King had. Martin Luther King wanted the government to be involved. Martin Luther King wanted the government to give them a handout. Malcolm X wanted self-sustainability. And every other group that's sustainable today in American history would promote self-sustainability and not government activism. Look at the Jewish community. Self-sustainability, not government activism. The Asian community. The Somalian community. I mean, all these other communities, they work together as a community. They're not saying the government help us, government help us. They're doing for themselves within their community and building a base. And now you see all Somalian neighborhoods. Now you see all Muslim neighborhoods. Now you see a Jewish connections that are here, and here, and here that's helping revolve revenue in their own communities. And what do Black people do? Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.